Hi everyone, my name is Ierie, and this is Reminisce with This, where I take a little time out of my day to sit and reminisce with you on simpler times from all of the different memories, treasures, and collectibles that I have obtained over the years. It's not always about the physical attributes of what you have in hand, but the memories that you've cultivated and created over the years that make the memories of the things that you have collected a little bit more special. And that's what this whole channel has been about. And so, of course, I have been enjoying this time spending with you and talking to friends and family and just overall all of the people that have interacted with me regarding my videos. It's really been so much fun to dive back into my own memories and really to reflect and reminisce on simpler times for myself and have a deeper appreciation for those times in my life. As someone that is now in my early 30s, it's best that I start to have a deeper appreciation for those things because life can be so serious and sometimes I can be distracted, just like I'm sure everybody could, from the past times with the present and the future, that you worry so much about that you don't really get to at least reflect as much as you would like to on simpler times. And that's kind of what this whole thing is about for me, is just taking a moment to sit and reminisce on those simpler times. And of course, today is Throwback Thursday, and I had a little help this week from my aunt in this topic because she shared with me a few stories of her own regarding this movie, and if you didn't know, there's a prequel to this movie. So we'll go ahead and get into this, and I'll talk a little bit about the first movie, which is, of course, Anastasia. And if you've ever seen Anastasia, you'll know how much of a fun movie this is. There's, for what it is, of course, it is just an amazing rendition of the possibility of, that folklore in a way of, if Anastasia did get away at the end of the serious story of what it really is. This kind of course, caters to children, so it didn't get as gritty as the actual story itself. It does have dark undertones, but nowhere as near as the actual story, and that's kind of what we're going to gloss over, of course, is that real story. But I will say that growing up, my grandma did make sure that after watching this movie that she did do her best to teach us the actual story of Anastasia and the possibility of maybe she did get away, right? But, my grandma was one of those people that believed that maybe she did. I think it was only a couple of years ago that they did state that there's a possibility she didn't, but I'm going to leave it to my imagination to believe that maybe she did. As, that's just something that has kept my imagination alive on this and enjoyed this movie just a little bit more. As I got older, I still watch this movie quite frequently, and the prequel, I probably watch both of them at least once a month, maybe every other month, but still, nonetheless, great movies. And I could not stress this enough, that the memories tied into these movies are so wonderful, and it really has captivated my heart time and time again as I get to dive back into these memories. And let me tell you, from all of the family and the friends that I have watched this movie with and the prequel movie with, I probably drove them mad from how many times I watched it, so much so that, the story that I'll be telling with my aunt in a minute here is actually going to make you laugh. At least it made me laugh when talking with her about it, as I really did watch these movies quite often. I sang the songs as best to my capabilities. From what I remembered, sometimes it would be a lot of mumbling in between the main lyrics that I did know, and that was always so much fun, being able to just enjoy those moments with my family and friends. Now, with this particular movie, Anastasia, my sisters and I watched this so many times growing up as a kid. as kids, I should say. Simply because we didn't have a whole lot of movies while we were with my grandma. She had a plethora of movies, things that we could watch and enjoy that were kid-friendly and allowed our imaginations to roam wild. And after these movies would end, we would kind of, continue that story, allow our imaginations to just pretend we were these characters and continuing the possibility of everything that went on and these, like I said, in these movies. And the amount of times that we sat down with my grandma, or my grandma sat down with us as we put on performances for my grandma regarding this particular movie or the prequel, and just, probably drove my grandma mad from how many times we were asking her to sit down and watch another performance as we reenacted these movies and or created our own storylines within them. So we would get all dressed up and we would literally have the most fun, my sisters and I. We probably looked like those crazy theater kids before we were actually in theater growing up. We would be, inviting our neighbors and all kinds of stuff like that to these types of performances. And a lot of the times as kids, being safe with my grandma and being able to have those imaginations roam free, it did end up growing to having our own plays that we would write and things like that and put on for our neighbors and our friends and our family. And that was just always so much fun for me growing up. And it all starts with moments like this and movies like this where we were able to feel comfortable enough to allow our imaginations and our pretending nature to just run wild and have these ideas come up of what we could do next. And this movie is one of those great ones where from start to finish it is an amazing movie. And of course, some of the iconic characters that come from this, the comedy that's in it is spectacular, and that's what leads me to the next movie. Of course, if you have not seen it yet, I highly recommend you do. Now, I don't have the physical form of this movie, but I do have it on digital, as I absolutely love this movie. It is one of my most favorite children's cartoon movies. It is, of course, like I said, a prequel. It is named Bartok the Magnificent. It is based off of course, Bartok and his journeys before he met Rasputin, which honestly, the cast is amazing. If I'm not mistaken, it has Kelsey Grammer, Jennifer Tilly, and Catherine O'Hara in these as certain characters. Of course, Bartok replaying the returning character. I forget exactly who plays him, but those are the three new names from the movie that were not in the original movie that honestly play such amazing roles in this movie. Now, I really do enjoy Bartok the Magnificent. When I was a kid, my aunt used to say, well, as we reminisced, my aunt and I together, she said that I used to sing that song all the time, which is Bartok the Magnificent. It's quite in the name. And there's a bunch of other lyrics that go with that I would just honestly mumble and then go back to singing the parts that I did know. And that was something fun that honestly I kind of forgot until my aunt brought it up and shared with me a story that if it wasn't for my incessant need to watch this movie and Bartok the Magnificent over and over and over again, my aunt and my cousins would have probably got this trivia question wrong while they were on their cruise, where it's honestly quite a fun story. My aunt was telling me that while she was on this cruise with my cousins, they were playing a trivia game, and it asked what was the animal's name in Anastasia, and they were, while they were sitting there and they were thinking about what the pet's name was, her and my cousins all started singing the Bartok the Magnificent song, and that's how they were able to get that question right. And honestly, that's super awesome that, this journey continues even just a few years ago, where they were able to reminisce and enjoy that time and laugh about all of them really only knowing the same amount of lyrics that I did, regarding Bartok the Magnificent as a child, and I can tell you right now, I still only know a few of those lyrics, as I can be a little forgetful on them, but I will tell you that it is a great song and a great movie. The adventure that Bartok shares with the supporting cast is such an amazing story. I really did enjoy it as a kid, and like I said, I still enjoy it today as a young adult. It is so fun. It is different than what you might think it would be, because again, you are going back to the past of before Bartok met Rasputin and his journey along the way. Now, the only thing that I would say, that they do leave a few little things here and there out that I wish I would have known a little bit more of what happens leading up to meeting Rasputin, but it's still a fun story nonetheless, and I won't spoil it if you have not seen it, but I will suggest that you go ahead and check it out because it is such a fun movie. And like I said, the amount of times that I've watched these movies over the years is countless. The memories that have been made over these years with these movies have been countless, and I just appreciate them for what they are, as they have made such an impact in my everyday and those around me as well, by just having the memories shared, which honestly has been the most important part when sitting around watching these movies with family and friends, is those memories that we share together. And let me tell you, I still cry at some of these moments in the movies, primarily Anastasia. There's a few moments here and there that I don't know why I get teary-eyed, and I can't help it. You can call me an emotional sap, but I definitely am. But now I can actually have a little bit more time to enjoy these moments and these movies at a deeper level, with those times that, like I said, my aunt got to share with me. And honestly, that it was such an amazing phone call, just being able to sit and talk to her about that, as she has been watching these videos, so shout out to you. And I love you so much, and thank you for sharing that memory, as it really does play a huge factor into why I'm starting this channel and why I'm enjoying this so much, because I really do get to sit here and talk to my family, my friends, and outside of filming, I get to reminisce with them all over again about all of the different stories and journeys from my life, and why these moments are such memory placeholders for me, and why they mean so much to me. And honestly, it's great to have these times to reminisce on when times can get a little, crazy, because it just gives me a little bit of a moment to take a step back and, not stress about the small stuff, because we can tend to do that, right? So, of course, that's basically the little bit of my reminiscing today on Anastasia and Bartok the Magnificent. Both of those movies, again, are so great. I recommend watching Bartok the Magnificent. It is honestly on digital. If I want to say, I probably spent under $10 purchasing that on digital copy, but I'm sure you can find it for renting for even cheaper than that on some of the streaming services. So again, I highly recommend you check it out, see what you think of it, and if you do watch it, leave a comment below and tell me what you think. But if you have seen it, I also would love to hear your perspective or your own reminiscing on that movie and how you enjoyed it. Same with Anastasia. So with that being said, thank you so much for reminiscing with me today. I really do appreciate you guys sticking through all of these videos, as the time does fluctuate on different ones depending on what I'm talking about. Sometimes they can be a little bit longer and sometimes they can be a little shorter. So either way, I really do appreciate you taking that time to sit and honestly reminisce with me. So it really is appreciated. If you do like the video, leave a like, comment, and if you love me enough and you enjoy just sitting here with me each week or each day of the week, go ahead and subscribe. I really do want to thank you again for the amazing time that I've been able to share these moments with you. And of course, I want to end it with, if you have not been if you have not been told that you are loved, cherished, and or cared about today, just know that I cherish you, and I care about you. Thank you so much for sitting with me today, and I will catch you on the next one. Peace.